Welcome back, everyone. I hope you're enjoying this series of focusing on process and color and enjoyment. And if today's painting doesn't prove to you that you can just pick any old random opaque and transparent color and hit this process, then nothing will. This one got a little crazy, but in the end, I think it worked out okay. Make sure you check out the video description below for the list of materials and colors that I've used. But as always, please feel free to grab your own opaque color and your own transparent color, and let's get started. All right, same thing today. We've got a 6x8, just a black canvas sheet, but I decided to go landscape orientation today. I have a tendency to do everything in portrait orientations, so thought we might mix it up a little bit. And speaking of mixing it up, we're gonna get really wild with our colors today. So I've got my Payne's gray. Here I've got Purell red, which is just this really intense crimson color. It's opaque. And then for my transparent color, I've actually got, let's see, this is the Utrecht iridescent gold. It doesn't matter what brand it is. Most of the metallic colors are at least semi-transparent, so it will work just fine, I think. We'll see. All right, my number 8, wet in my jar, wiped on my paper towel. I'm gonna get some medium and some of the Purell. Any red you have will work. And let's find the shape in our sky and our composition. Much deeper, darker color than we've been using for these exercises. I'm excited to see how it works. And I love red and gold together, so I was really excited to try using the gold for my transparent glaze. All right, I think that's a good start. Remember, whenever you see the screen fade to black, it means that I have used my hairdryer to dry the painting, and I'm not surprised that the red went that dark. It almost looks like I didn't put anything on there. Red of any kind, even if it's opaque, is still a little on the transparent side. And then I had the medium in there. But as we build the layers, it will get brighter and brighter. I'm not worried about that. So let's just go ahead and build more now. I'm not even picking up any extra medium. There might still be a little medium in my brush. Just the red. We can be a little bit more generous with it, knowing that it's going to dry so transparent and dark. It's just going to give us a really unique painting. It's going to be a little on the mysterious and moody side, I think, between the red and the gold. And you know what, friends? I am always ready to change gears, and that's part of these studies, figuring out your colors and what works and what doesn't. And this Purell, I'm worried that it's going to take way too much energy to get it as vibrant as I want. So I made the switch to Cad Red Deep. It's a little more orangey than I wanted, but I know that it's a good, solid, opaque color. So let's just get a little bit more of this on there. I was just really looking forward to kind of that crimson-y red. This is a good red too. Much better. All right, my number 6, I wet it in a jar, wiped it on a paper towel, a little bit of medium, and Payne's gray. Remember that if you're using Mars Black, to just use a little bit more medium than I am with the Payne's gray. And let's find the shape in our ground. As always with these paintings, I'm starting out with no idea. I have no composition ideas. It was really just a color. I want to see how these colors work together. That is the only thing I'm bringing to this painting, is the color. Just figuring out where things might be, using the side of my brush to kind of scrub out some organic shapes. Maybe let's do a few just tall, straight trees. Again, using the edge of my brush and just pushing up into it. It's not going to fill it in, but it's going to give me the shape that I want. I can fill the trees in later. I don't want it to be too organized feeling. So right now I've got like 3/4 of an inch tree, 3/4 of an inch tree. It feels very mechanical. So I'm gonna break that up a little, see if we can move one of the trees closer, maybe change the angle, maybe give up on them altogether. I don't know yet. We will see. Oh, I like that. I think I got a little bit too representational right out of the gate. I know that for me, when I try early stages like this to be like, here's a tree, it's gonna look really stiff. So I just painted that out. It wasn't working, but I do kind of like this circling of this warmer, bright area. So we'll leave that. Sticking with my number 6, just a little bit of medium, more red. Lay down a good heavy amount in here, and then I'll come back up onto the edge of my brush to scumble that out. Overlapping parts of that dark that I laid, but not necessarily all of it. Still no solid idea, just playing with the colors and the shapes, and the brushwork, and seeing what we can find in here. Maybe I'll negative shape paint a couple of ideas to just give the feeling that there's a tree there. Remember that negative painting is giving the impression that there's something there, like a tree or whatever, but without painting the tree. Instead, by painting the elements around the tree. Much more convincing than those stiff, awful lines I had earlier, huh? Much better. Let's just pick up a little medium and almost glaze a bit of this red onto the ground. Let's give just a hint of a clearing area. I like to always do a clearing where we're kind of invited as the viewer to step into this little clearing and see what's happening in this world. All right, number 8, this is going to be the interesting part, glazing with gold. So we'll see how that works. I don't use a lot of metallic colors, so I'm curious to see how this is going to turn out. Good amount of medium in my gold. The gold is actually translucent, meaning it's kind of opaque, it's kind of transparent. So you want to make sure that you're using a good amount of the medium. All right, we're going to start down here as always. It looks more opaque now because the medium is kind of white when it's wet. But when that dries, the medium will be clear. This is giving me like The Last Unicorn vibes. You guys ever seen that movie? The Red Bull, when he's coming after the unicorn. That's what this is reminding me of. That's one of my very favorite movies. All right, going back to my number 6, medium and Payne's Gray. The interesting thing about working with this gold is wherever I just leave it on top of the dark, it's gonna show the gold. So if I want to get something really dark again, I have to come back and put that back in. So it's a little different than some of the other colors that we've used to this point. Still no solid idea here. Somehow, these colors are encouraging me to use more expressive brushwork, less like real scrubbing out, more, you know, dashing down a brush stroke and just kind of leaving it there. Let's see if we can get something going on in these trees here. I do like that, having these trees. I kind of feel like there's almost one over here, very, very distant. Just kind of scrub in some of that very transparent Payne's Gray. I'm gonna go back to my number 6 round. Still on my Payne's Gray and medium. I like to use this brush flat, super organic shapes that I get. I hope that you guys are enjoying this series of paintings. You know, I paint like this for myself very, very frequently, but I haven't done a lot of this in videos because, you know, I'm always convinced, well, what these guys want is like full videos, big, long, 2-hour-long videos of, you know, as detailed as I can get. And I can definitely paint like that, but sometimes planning those paintings is so much work. And it's really challenging for me when, you know, when I've got a good old bout of imposter syndrome going on, telling me that, you know, I'm faking my way through my job when clearly I know how to paint. So I figured I'm gonna give my imposter syndrome something to sit down and shut up about. And I'm just gonna paint the kind of things that I love painting in the ways that I love painting, and hope that you guys wanna come along for that journey Ooh, those trees are looking a little stiff, but I think it's okay for now. I think we can come back and chop that up and make it a little bit more of a messy, lively forest. So let's move on to our next layer of red. My number 6. So, if you guys deal with imposter syndrome as well, then I want you to just take some time doing nothing but paintings that you know how to do well, that really satisfy you. Give your imposter syndrome no reason to even show its face, And then you can go back to learning the types of paintings that you want to learn and experimenting with things that you're not overly confident with. But I think if you give yourself a taste of real success, then your imposter syndrome really has nothing else to say. And I feel like that's why I'm coming back with these types of paintings, even though I know they're not everyone's cup of tea, but they're my cup of tea. And right now I have to feel like I'm doing something that I super enjoy doing, which is both teaching you and, doing the kind of paintings that I enjoy. And maybe that will kick me into gear so that I have an easier time coming back to the canvas each time. Because, when you've got a little voice in your head that's telling you all the time that you don't know what you're doing, or that you don't do it well, or any of the horrible things that those internal voices like to feed you, it can be really hard to do the things that you love to do. And I'm super selfish. I want to do the things that I want to do. I want to do the things that make me happy. And I want you to be selfish like that too. There's nothing wrong with it. Selfish has a bad connotation, but it's just, looking out for your interests and your desires. When it comes to art, I want you to be selfish. Let's pull some of that bright down closer to the ground here. We'll scumble a bit of it in here. Pull these bushes down closer to us. That dark spot there was not serving me, so we got rid of it. Just a little scumble of red over top of those so they're not pure black. These colors are definitely a challenge. Definitely a challenge to work with. So back into my gold and medium, nice and transparent. Maybe I'll throw just a little bit more gold in there. really love the way that gold layers with the red and the sky. So maybe I'll keep a bit of it up here. I feel like this is a much more challenging painting to pull off, with that gold being slightly opaque than some of the other ones we've done, but I'm here for the challenge. I'm using my long liner now and Payne's Gray, a little extra drip of water, because I need to chop up these trees. We need to rough that up a bit. So let's go up into it so my brush is flat, and I'm just going to push up into it. There we go. Break that all up. We'll leave some of these in here being very distant. I think I'm just going to kind of give a foreground tree. Maybe, ooh, I like that. Let's do that. It's coming from all the way down here. It's very foreground. It is between us and the clearing. Let's get some little branchy beds before we connect it to the foliage at the top and the ground. Holding my brush at the far end to take away control, and I want to just get the tip of the brush touching, and I'm going to let it kind of bounce all over. The more control you try to have over this long liner, the stiffer things are going to start looking. So even just do some little scrubbing, little scrubby beds. Love hangy downy branches, so we'll get a few of those going. Just ever since I started really paying attention to this tree by my house, all I want to do is paint trees with hangy downy branches. We'll get a little bit of ground going on right here. Still just using my long liner to scrub in a bit of a mess. I love to use the long liner in ways that it wasn't intended to be used, because it takes away so much control. And I love to have a bit of control taken away from me when I paint, because otherwise, you know, then I just get too hyper-focused on details and trying to make the perfect tree branches, and instead of just letting my tree branches be gnarly and gross. Gnarly and gross tree branches are awesome. Going to my number 4, let's connect this tree to the foliage up here. I'm going to use the side of the brush. Let's anchor some of these distant things back here. Remember that by putting a little bit of a shadow at the base of a shape, kind of sets it down on the ground, gives it a place to sit and exist, rather than looking like it's floating or just some random shape. Especially here. up in here a bit. Yeah, I think we need some flicks. So my little spot of paint, little dollop of water. That's not running. A little bit more water. That's about running. It moves a little bit. That's good enough. Just helps break up some of that a little bit. Let's get some over here. There we go. And it can read as leaves or grasses or bugs or flowers or whatever, depending on how you use it. Back to my number 6 round and bit of medium. Let's play with details with the red. So I think this ground needs a little something more going on. Just finding some shapes to play with in here. A little pinpoint of medium on the end of my brush. I want the sky to lead into here, I think. Let's play with the negative painting as well a bit. Reinforce some of those trees that kind of disappeared in the distance. But keep the edges of those trees soft, because if they're too crisp, they're going to seem more, a little more close than I really want them. That's looking pretty good. I have been very nervous about this combination, especially once I started. I was like, oh no, this is not gonna work out well. And it still might not. But that's okay. Little dots of that brighter red create kind of peaks in the trees, little holes where we can see the sky. Let's really brighten this sky a bit here. No medium, I just picked up pure paint, just cad red deep. Just a few bright points that lead our eye in from the sky here. A little bit of medium. I'm just going to kind of, I feel like the gold is taking over right there. I definitely want the red to be the star. So I'm kind of glazing back that gold just a bit. Oh, I might have saved it. Guys, I seriously thought, oh, well, I can just make this a short video and say, oh, that one didn't turn out. And, you know, be like, see, it's okay. Things don't turn out. But now I'm kind of liking it. It's going somewhere, and I'm here for it. So I've told people this before in classes and things like that. I don't know if I've ever said it on my channel, but you know, if you're painting something and it's not working out, if it just looks awful, then you might as well just keep going, because if it already looks awful, it can't get any worse, right? I mean, if the alternative is you're just gonna throw it in the garbage or you're gonna paint over it or whatever, then just keep going. Just see what happens. You know, give yourself the permission. I always will say, you know, if I'm painting something and I don't like how it's turning out, oh well, that looks terrible, but can't hurt to just see what happens if I do this, and then go completely off the deep end. And sometimes really cool things happen. I want to do a few red flicks. So this is my number 4, little ball of red paint. Little drip of water mixed in there. Whoa, I need a lot more red paint than that. I picked up too much water. There we go. You just want the paint to start to move. You don't want it to run like pure water. That's pretty good. And we are going to kind of, rather than having it like the red light is bursting this way like I've done in the other paintings, I think I'm going to do it so there's almost like red flowers or something. So up close, I'm doing bigger flicks, because the closer the flowers are to us, the bigger they're going to appear. Back here, I want to send that to the distance, so I did it slow for some smaller flicks. We're going to anchor some of that red to the ground. It looks very floaty. So my number 6 round, some Payne's gray and medium. And we're going to glaze some of it out, and some of it we're just going to shade underneath so it appears attached. And we can do little grasses. So you can just kind of flick upwards. Let it kind of cover some of those shapes a little bit. Long liner and an extra drip of water. We're just going to do a few more little choppy branches, grassy, gnarly things, and then I think I'm about done. You can't see all of those branches real well, but you know what? If you were in a setting like this, you might not be able to anyway. This is an intense light. And I think that if we were in a scenario like this, you probably wouldn't see all of that. Yeah. Okay, I feel like I'm done.